Tonight you will close a door, switch off a light, and lie down completely alone. And you call that normal. You will think sleeping by yourself behind a locked door is just what grown adults do. But sleep is the most dangerous thing you do each day, and almost none of your ancestors ever did it alone. So why didn't ancient humans sleep alone, and why does your body still act like something is missing? The answer is 300,000 years old, hiding in the way you sleep tonight. Start with the thing every one of us forgets: the moment we flip a switch. When the sun goes down, the world does not simply get darker, it changes hands. The daytime belongs to us, to our sharp color vision, and our busy plans. But the night belongs to something else, and that something does not go to sleep when you do. Leopards, hyenas, and big cats hunt best in exactly the hours when human eyes are close to useless. For most of our history, darkness was not cozy. It was the one window each day when you were most likely to become food for something faster and better adapted to the dark than you. So, that small instinct to glance down the dark hallway before bed is not childish at all. It is very, very old. And for almost every night that humans have existed, it was completely right. And a single pair of eyes closing was a serious problem. Think about what sleep does to you. For a few hours, you go blind, you go deaf, you stop paying attention to the entire world. Alone, that makes you helpless. But 10 people lying close together are never fully switched off. At the same time, one person shifts, another coughs. Someone half opens their eyes at a sound and drifts back down. Many bodies mean many partial senses, still sampling the dark, pushing the odds of catching a threat way, way up. It is simple, brutal math, the kind that kept people alive long enough to have you. Alone, amazing, you are a single alarm that can fail. Together, they were an entire security system that never completely powered down. And somewhere deep down, you are still wired to feel that difference on the nights no one else is home. But here is the part that sounds almost designed, even though no one planned it. Nobody in these groups sat down and assigned guard duty. There was no schedule, no volunteer raising a hand for the 3 a.m. shift. And yet, at almost any hour of the night, somebody was awake. The reason is hidden in how sleep itself works. We do not all sink into deep sleep at the same time, and we do not all surface either. People drift through lighter and heavier sleep on slightly different clocks, especially when there is an age gap in the group. Older members tend to wake earlier, younger ones stay up later, and the ones in between float in and out. So, at any given moment, at least one person was in light, easily broken sleep, eyes ready to open. It was a rotating watch that ran itself. So, on the night you snap awake at 3 for no reason, understand that you are quietly running a shift nobody ever asked you to take. And this is not just a nice theory. Drawn on a whiteboard, we can actually watch it happen. In the few groups still living close to the old way, researchers have followed what really goes on after dark. Someone stirs in the middle of the night, feeds the fire, glances around the sleeping bodies, listens for a moment, then settles back down. A while later, someone else does the same. Studies of the Hadza in Tanzania and the San in southern Africa found almost no moment when every single adult was asleep at once. Nobody was ordered to do it. This natural, overlapping alertness simply appeared for free out of a group of people trying to rest. They were protecting each other in their sleep without even trying to. And that quiet safety net is the exact thing you gave up. The first night you slept in a room by yourself, your brain, it turns out, quietly noticed the loss. Now picture the one thing sitting in the middle of all of them. They did not sleep around a fire because it looked beautiful or because it made the night feel romantic. They slept around it because it kept them alive. Fire did 3 jobs at once, every single night. It pushed back the predators, whose eyes reflected at the edge of the light. It threw off heat in a world with no walls and no blankets worth the name. And it gave someone a gentle reason to wake now and then, to add a branch, to stir the coals, and while doing that, to sweep their eyes across the dark. The fire was warmth, weapon, and clock, all in one. Keeping it alive was a shared, unspoken duty. So that nightlight you leave glowing in the hall, the one you tell yourself, is just for the kids, or just so you do not stub a toe, is a tiny, tamed campfire. Same ancient fear, humming underneath it. Same simple, stubborn fix your ancestors would recognize in a heartbeat. And speaking of that warmth, there is a reason it feels so good to curl up next to another person, long before heated blankets and thermostats. The only reliable heater on a cold night was another living body. Here is something most people never learned. Your core temperature actually drops while you sleep. It is part of how the body powers down. On a cold night out in the open, that drop can slide from helpful into dangerous. Lying pressed against other people is passive, effortless insulation. No fuel to gather, no fire to tend, just shared heat, moving from body to body until morning. It was one of the quietest survival tools our ancestors ever had, and they never even had to think about it. So the way you still reach across the bed for another warm body on a freezing night is not only about affection. It is raw survival, quietly wearing the soft mask of simple comfort. And while we are rearranging your assumptions, let us take apart the idea of a perfect night of sleep. You have been told that 8 unbroken hours is the natural, healthy, human default, and that waking in the middle of the night means something is wrong. Our ancestors would find that strange. Historical records from before electric light describe something researchers call segmented sleep. People fell into a first sleep not long after dark. Then, somewhere in the deep middle of the night, they woke up on purpose. For an hour or so, they were simply awake, tending the fire, talking quietly, holding each other, sometimes praying. Then they slid into a second sleep, until dawn. That waking stretch was not a malfunction. It was social time, bonding time, watch time, all folded into one. So when you jolt awake at 2 in the morning and panic that your sleep is broken, consider another possibility. Maybe nothing is wrong with you. Maybe you are simply doing it the ancient way, the way your body was built for, except now you are doing it completely alone. But let us be honest and ask the blunt question out loud, because it deserves a real answer and not just a nice story. Does sleeping in a group actually make sleep better, or does it just feel that way? When we romanticize the past, for a long time, this was mostly guesswork. Then researchers went and measured it. A body of work led by the sleep scientist, Jerome Siegel, studied people in hunter and gatherer societies who live without electricity, without screens, and without any of the sleep products we spend billions on. The results are humbling. These groups did not sleep more hours than you do. In some cases, they slept a little less. But their sleep was steadier, more regular, and remarkably free of the insomnia that haunts the modern world. Many of them do not even have a word for it. They had no melatonin, no sleep apps, no blackout curtains, no white noise machines. And yet they slept better than you do tonight, with all of it. That should bother you, at least a little, because it suggests the missing ingredient was never a product you could buy. It was the people sleeping around you and the deep, bone-level sense of safety they quietly created. And no one felt that safety mattering more than the smallest member of the group. Picture the most vulnerable sleeper by the fire. A newborn cannot keep itself warm. It cannot stay alert. It cannot call for rescue in any way that would matter against the dark. For almost all of human history, the answer was obvious and universal. The baby slept pressed against its mother, within arm's reach of others. Across nearly every traditional culture we know of, keeping infants close at night was simply what you did. It helped the baby hold its temperature, made night feeding effortless, and let a parent respond in an instant. There is even research exploring how a sleeping parent's breathing and movement may help regulate a tiny, still developing nervous system, though modern safety guidance around infant sleep matters and should always be followed so that fierce pull a parent feels to keep the baby close through the night is not modern anxiety, and it is not weakness. It is an instinct that is 100,000 years old, still doing its ancient job, only now it aches across a hallway and a baby monitor inside a crib in the next room. Now, hold on a second, because you might be pushing back right about now. If everyone is packed together on the ground, is that not miserable? The snoring, the elbows, the shifting, the sheer lack of personal space. How could anyone possibly sleep well like that? And honestly, you are not wrong to wonder. Group sleep came with real trade-offs. It was noisy. It was crowded. Someone always ran hot. Someone always stole the warm spot. Someone always snored like a bear. But here is the thing. Evolution never cared about. Evolution did not optimize you for comfort. It optimized you for waking up alive. A little snoring in your ear is a very small price for not being dragged off in the dark. You would take that deal in a heartbeat if the danger were real. And every single night, without a second of hesitation, your ancestors made exactly that trade, packed in shoulder to shoulder, in the dark, and they were deeply glad to. And that trade points at something happening deep inside the brain, something you can still feel today. Imagine trying to fall asleep, completely alone, in a place your body reads as dangerous. Out in the open, exposed, no one watching your back. Even if you are exhausted, part of you refuses to let go. That is not a personal flaw. That is ancient wiring doing its job. Sleep researchers have shown that the feeling of safety is one of the biggest factors in how deeply you actually sleep. When your brain senses risk, it deliberately keeps you in lighter stages, half a foot out the door, ready to snap awake. It literally will not let you sink all the way down. Now think about the last time you slept in an empty house and your mind just would not switch off, replaying sounds, cataloging every creak. That racing brain is not broken. It is standing guard, refusing to lower its defenses, because for almost all of human history, dropping your guard while alone in the dark was a fast way to never wake up. You sleep better with someone nearby, and you always have for a reason far older and far, far deeper than you. And if you think this is some quirk unique to humans, look up into the trees at our closest relatives. We did not invent this. We inherited it. Watch how many primates handle the night, and a pattern jumps out immediately. They do not scatter and sleep alone, wherever they happen to be standing. They choose their sleeping sites with real care, high branches, cliff ledges, spots that are hard for a predator to reach. And again, they cluster. They pull in close to one another rather than spreading out across the dark. Sleeping in a protected group is not a human habit that we cleverly came up with. It is a strategy, far older than our species, running back through the family tree for millions of years. So this pull you feel, this quiet discomfort at sleeping totally alone, is older than humanity itself. You were quietly running this exact program long before you were ever human. And even while every body in that group was sleeping, something in each of them was still listening. This is one of the strangest and most beautiful tricks your brain pulls off. When you sleep, you do not actually stop hearing. Your brain keeps monitoring sound the entire night, quietly sorting the harmless from the important. That is why a parent can sleep straight through a loud, rumbling truck outside the window, then bolt upright, the instant their child makes one small, unusual cry in the next room. The volume is not what wakes you, meaning is a sleeping brain is running a filter that never fully clocks out, deciding what deserves to pull you back to the surface. Now stretch that across a whole group, sleeping together. Many brains, all half listening, each tuned to catch the wrong sound in the night. That shared sleeping filter guarded everyone at once. Alone tonight, you are still running it. There is just no one else left for that ancient filter to protect anymore. No one but you. But there is one stretch of the night when even that listening brain cannot save you. And this is where it gets genuinely unsettling. Every single night, your body does something that should terrify you if you stop to think about it. During the deepest dreaming stage, the phase we call REM sleep, your brain essentially unplugs your muscles. It is called atonia, and it exists for a good reason. It stops you from physically acting out your dreams and hurting yourself. But it means that for minutes at a time, every night, you are completely paralyzed. You could not run. You could not fight. You could not even lift your arm. If something walked up in the dark, it is the single most defenseless moment of your entire day. Now, some researchers link that ancient vulnerability to an experience many people know firsthand. Sleep paralysis, that horrifying moment when you wake up but cannot move, sometimes sensing a presence in the room. Think about what that fear is really pointing at. That is the exact minute your ancestors most needed someone else awake and watching over them. So when it grips you alone in your room, you are not imagining things. You are feeling a terror built for a night that no longer has a guard standing over it. And that need for a guard quietly turned into something we now call love. Because when you really look at it, sleeping beside another person is one of the most vulnerable things a human being can do. You are handing them your most defenseless hours. You are saying, without words, I trust you enough to go unconscious next to you, to be paralyzed and blind and deaf while you stay here. For our ancestors, thousands of nights of sleeping side by side did something that daytime words never could. It built deep, wordless trust. It bonded families, partners, and whole groups at a level below conversation. Sharing sleep was sharing survival, and the mind never forgot the link between the two. That is why, even now, letting someone sleep beside you still feels like a bigger step than almost anything you say out loud. It is why sleeping next to a person can somehow feel more intimate than talking to them. You did not lose the meaning of that act. You just quietly forgot why it feels as enormous as it does and why the empty side of a bed can feel so strangely loud. Now, to be fair and accurate, it was not always the same tight huddle everywhere you looked. The picture shifts depending on the danger, and that detail matters. Not every group slept crammed, shoulder to shoulder, every single night. When people found a deep, defensible cave with only one narrow way in, or lived in a season and a place, with few large predators around, they could afford to spread out a little. The pressure eased, and sleep loosened with it. What this tells you is that group sleep was never a rigid rule, carved in stone. It was a flexible response, dialed up or down, according to how dangerous the night really was. And that reframes something about your own life. The simple fact that you feel safe enough to sleep sprawled out alone, door shut, lights off, is a luxury the modern world handed to you. It is not a default you earned. It is a gift you inherited. And that closeness, that instinct to stay near each other, in the dark, followed our ancestors, further than you might expect. Further, in fact, than sleep itself. When archaeologists uncover ancient burial sites They keep finding the same quiet, aching thing in cultures that never met and never could have shared the custom. People buried close together, sometimes side by side, sometimes with arms arranged around one another, sometimes curled into a shape that looks unmistakably, heartbreakingly, like the way you would settle down to sleep beside someone you love. Across separate continents and thousands of years, humans could not bear the thought of leaving their people, alone in the dark, even at the very end. The same pull that gathered them around the fire at night reached all the way into how they said goodbye. And if that stirs something in you, if it aches a little, that is not an accident. Somewhere down, in the oldest, most wordless part of you, that ancient instinct is still there, and it is still quietly listening. And if you still think all of this is ancient history, something we have safely outgrown, look at what modern humans do the moment real danger comes back. Take away the locked doors and the alarm systems, drop people into genuine risk, and watch what happens. They rebuild the old way, almost instantly. Soldiers in the field do not sleep scattered and alone. Survival training teaches you to sleep in groups, with someone always on watch, rotating shifts through the night. Mountaineers, sailors, explorers, anyone whose life actually depends on it, all arrive at the very same answer. And here is the striking part. None of them are copying an anthropology textbook. They are not imitating cave dwellers on purpose. They are simply rediscovering, under pressure, the exact solution your ancestors lived by every night. Put you in real danger tonight, and you would build it right back. You never lost the blueprint. You just stopped needing it. Or at least, that is what you quietly tell yourself every single night. So think about where that leaves you. For 300,000 years, humans slept the same way, around a fire, pressed close, watched over by people who would wake if the dark ever moved. That was normal. That was human. And tonight, in your locked, heated, predator-free room, that strange comfort of being completely alone is one of the newest things a human has ever felt. Sleep was never something we did alone. It was something we survived together. So the next time your body feels uneasy about sleeping alone, do not fight it. Just listen, because it still remembers something you forgot. And stick around, because the next everyday habit